All right, my name is Rachel Pavelanis, and I am going to be talking about my CHERPAS application. It is an app-based life coach to support habit and goal tracking. So, what is CHERPAS? Well, it started as a daily to-do list that I had about 5 years ago, and I just wanted to have more direction and focus in my life. So I started with that, and I felt like it wasn't quite focused enough for me. So then I ended up refining it to have 7 different areas of focus, and those were cleanliness, healthy eating, exercise, relationships, personal development, action-based living, which is things like paying bills on time, doing things you tend to put off, and then spirituality. And basically, I took the first letter of each of those categories and then created an acronym for CHERPAS. I basically brainstormed and came up with a bunch of different options, and CHERPAS sounded the coolest, so that's what I ended up with. So I started by then creating a daily task every morning in each of those areas and linking that to a monthly and a yearly goal. So then that kind of gave me a focus throughout my year, but then also each day. And family and friends started using this system as well, and we started sharing it with each other. I had created a Google spreadsheet, and so when we started Capstones, I decided that could be a really cool app to create. So, what does CHERPAS offer? For me personally, it's given me a lot of more purpose and direction in my life because it feels like I have this thing driving me every day. So I create tasks in those areas, and then I'm able to see over time if I'm completing those tasks, I'm working towards these long term goals. It's given me more sense of organization in my just day to day life because I have something to focus on when I get out of work. More accountability. During various times when I've done Chirpas, I've shared it with friends and family, and they've also shared their Chirpas logs with me. So we've been able to see each week whether we're keeping on track and kind of give each other positive reinforcement for that. I think balance has also been something that it's offered for me because I'm not just focusing on one area, for instance, exercise. I'm really trying to create a sense of accomplishment and progress forward in many areas of my life. And then finally, building trust with yourself. That's something I feel like it's really easy to break because you tell yourself you're going to do something and you don't do it, and the next day you get up and you don't do it. And doing something like this and really holding yourself accountable and over time seeing that you do the things you say you're going to do builds that trust again. And that's what I've noticed. So what did I learn by doing this for my capstone? One major thing I learned was that the features that I thought would be the easiest to implement in code were often the trickiest to complete, and vice versa. So, something like building charts within my app or creating notifications that let the user know when they should check in the morning or check out. I thought those things would be really difficult because I just didn't know much about them going in. And they ended up being really fairly straightforward to implement. However, something like using tables to display my data and sending data from one table to another table within my app, those things were actually the things that really stumped me as I created my project. So I think just that taught me that think about your time when you approach a project like this and make sure to manage it because it's often going to take longer than you think it will. And then I also learned that tutorials only take you so far. Tutorial/Google/Stack Overflow. Because you can watch a tutorial and learn how to do a specific piece, but then you have to fit it into your app as a whole. And that for me was, and I think for a lot of my colleagues, was really hard because you might have one tweak, and if the tutorial doesn't really explain what the code is doing, you need to go through each piece of that code and figure out what everything is doing in order to actually then be able to jump back and use the tutorial in your app. And so, as I think I've mentioned before, with capstones, we're expected to learn a number of new technologies and languages. So I learned Swift 3, which is a language developed by Apple, and Xcode 8, which is the framework for that developed by Apple. I also used iOS charts to create my bar graphs, and then the Realm mobile database to actually store my data. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into my demo. I'll go back over here. All right, so here we are. So if you're on your home screen, you open the app, this is what you see. And the first thing I want to show you is if you first were getting this app, what you might want to do. Probably you'd want to go over to your check-in notifications. And what this does is you can set a time every single day to be reminded to set your tasks for the day. So if I set this at 12:28, every 24 hours I'd be reminded to check in. And I can do the same thing with checkouts. And then the first thing you do every day when you get that check-in reminder is set your daily tasks. So you'd actually go through each area and decide whether you want to skip that task for the day or skip that setting a task for that day or actually set a task. So for instance, for cleanliness, I'm going to say, yeah, I want to set a task. So I swipe up and then I see this menu, and I can choose from recently selected tasks. So I can say I want to clean the bathroom and the kitchen, or I can create my own. So here I'm just going to create my own and create that. And then again, I can swipe through and create them in other areas as well. So if I want to create one for relationships, I can type in call mom. And then I can go through and I get to the end. And then you see right there that those tasks that I set populated on this view. Then you can click on any of these areas. And for instance, if I wanted to click on Call Mom, then within that area, I can see that I have that daily task. But then I also have my monthly goal, kind of just a reminder that I set that goal of writing 3 personal notes to friends. And then a yearly goal that I have, staying in touch with faraway friends. And then a kind of just a randomly generated quote. I just kind of picked some of my favorite quotes and had them randomly generate in that way. And then with monthly goals, yearly goals, or daily tasks, you can mark them as complete. And so you can see that marks it as complete. You can also delete it or edit it. So then if I go back, you'll see it also is marked as complete on this screen. So if you log in, you can see a quick overview of what you've done. I also added features where you're able to go in and see kind of a visual view of how you're doing. So this, for instance, gives you the percentage of tasks completed by category for the week. So on the bottom there you see the 7 different categories, and I can see, for instance, for cleanliness, this user completed 50% of their cleanliness tasks for the past week. And the cool thing about this is you can actually save it to your phone, this picture, by hitting the save button, and then share it with friends and family if you're wanting to keep accountable that way. Finally, there's an accomplishments bar. So what this does is anytime you mark a monthly goal or yearly goal is complete, it automatically gets added here. So then over time, at the end of the year, you're able to scroll back through and say, wow, like look at all that I accomplished in all these different areas of my life. So that is the CHERPAS app so far, and I think in the future, one feature I definitely want to add is the ability to share your task lists live with friends and family, so that you can actually kind of like give them kudos or say like, hey, great job completing all your tasks for the day, that kind of thing. I think that would be a cool feature to add. So thanks for listening.